What is spirituality?
See, spirituality is nothing but understanding that everything that is there in and around us is Almighty. If you think of the Divine or Almighty, who we know by different names, like Shiva, Vishnu, Allah, Jesus, right? It is all the same center hub of energy.
God loves every child. We hear that since growing up, right? God will forgive you. But why have we have to experience this hurt?
What is the karma you're performing right now, which will bear its fruits tomorrow? So as a result, what happens is God needs or universe needs to take your attention and say, hey, focus on this, or it will give you immense pain.
What is ghosts? Like, do they exist? And if they do, are they that scary? And because it freaks me out. Like, I couldn't sleep, I told you, alone till I was like, Hanuman is there. But yeah, a lot of people are scared of ghosts. Hi, everyone. So, it's been a long time that I've done a podcast. And today I am bringing a person in front of you who actually transformed my life. 2024 was not very kind year for me, and I did struggle in a lot of ways, but there are really, really nice people who come there in your life and protect you, guide you, and take care of you. Today we have Ritu, and the other person is also like her best friend, which is Madhu. We are missing her a lot today. I could get Ritu to you, so I'm gonna ask her a lot of questions about her journey. This podcast is gonna be fun. I would like you to stay tuned. And before I go ahead and introduce her, she's an amazing person, but I would not do the justice of the introduction of Ritu. So, Ritu, welcome to the podcast. Our audience would love to hear an elevator pitch from you. Tell us quickly about yourself, who you are, who's Ritu.
So, had you asked me this question about 3-4 months ago, I would have said I am a learning development professional. I have, a beautiful family, 2 beautiful kids, a dog, and a husband. Not necessarily in that series of priority. But today I would say that I'm just another human being on a spiritual path, trying to find myself. And I feel very fortunate that I have been able to, set up a very simple, humble beginning through Mama Agnya, through which I'm able to pass on the divine messages and the channel messages to people who can benefit from it.
Yeah, that's good because I've been following your page and always daily I get really good spiritual messages. What motivated you to start this and what exactly is Mama Agnya for our people who are listening to the podcast?
So, Mama Agnya is a combination of 2 words. It's a Sanskrit word. So, Mama means my, and Agnya means third eye, which is your third eye chakra. So, it is the wisdom of your third eye. So, it is very interesting that, once as I was, struggling with my own stuff, I had visited a very spiritually elevated place. And while I was just sitting and reflecting on my life, this name suddenly occurred to me. And it was a very strong calling that I have to do something about Mama Amni. I didn't even know what it meant. So I Googled what it meant. And I was like, oh my God. And that's when I called, Madhu and told her that if God could, just appear in front of me and tell me this is what your purpose is, then that's the level of clarity that I've got. So that is when I came back. I started my Instagram account. And since then, it has been pure magic. Every day people join us. And I hope that, they are able to get value out of it.
So, what is the vision and mission? I can see that you keep on posting videos about spiritual messages. Like, if someone is feeling lost, they can hear that daily, right? It's like a daily motivation to be a spiritual person. So, I want to know the vision and mission that you have with Amagna because you're very passionate about this clearly because you're showing up daily on my Instagram. But I would love to know more. What is your mission?
So, both of us have experienced that we were going through our experiences. People came into our life and helped us, right? So I want Mama Agnya to be that place. I want that to be that community where people who are seeking guidance on their spiritual path, they get everything under the same roof, that can help them move ahead on their spiritual journey. So that is my vision for Mama Agnya.
That's nice. So, when I hear you, I can see that you have a lot of spiritual experience. I want to know, how did you start your spiritual journey? When did you get your calling?
So, first thing is all of us are on a spiritual journey, every human being. It's just that we don't know that yet, right? A lot of us even believe that we feel that we don't believe in God. So, everyone is on a journey, but it's just that they are at a different point of their journey. And that's why we bond much more with people who are at a similar point in their journey. So, what happened recently is that I have become aware of my spiritual journey. So, when you become aware, is when you become more conscious and you are able to take more deliberate actions. You are able to understand that why behind whatever is happening around you. Even if you don't understand, you're absolutely fine with it because you're able to surrender to the Almighty and, just enjoy and embrace the divine magic that's happening in the object.
So I can see, so not everyone is grown up with a lot of spiritual knowledge, right? I mean, since childhood, we are told, be spiritual, but we didn't get the vision of spirituality. Would you like to share with our audience what is spirituality?
So, see, spirituality is nothing but understanding that everything that is there in and around us is Almighty, right? If you think of the divine or Almighty, who we know by different names, like Shiva, Vishnu, Allah, Jesus, right? So, it is all the same center hub of energy. And a smallest minute particle from that, it disintegrates and becomes our soul, right? And then we go through multiple lifetimes to understand or undergo multiple life lessons to reach that level of purity where we are ready to again go back and join the Almighty, which is what we call moksha. And, before I was aware of my spiritual experiences, I used to always complain about my life. I was born to a very uber religious family where my father was a psychic. He was also an astrologer. Unfortunately, he also had troubles with alcohol. So our life was very difficult while growing up. And I always complain about it, like any other kid would. But now when I look back, I realize everything from the point of my birth or even before in my past lifetime, which I don't remember anymore, was meant to prepare me for this moment. Because I was born in a very uber religious family, I was exposed to a lot of practices which are helping me today. Today, a lot of people struggle to meditate. My father taught me guided meditation when I was, maybe 6 or 7, right? Uh, that strong sense of faith. So, any difficult time where anybody could have switched to bad habits, wrong choices, I choose faith. And I feel very blessed, to have that sort of a breaking because it helped me get through a lot of difficult times. My whole learning and development experience, my coaching experience, today that allows me to articulate my thoughts in a certain way, which people are able to understand in simple ways. So I feel everything around me, both good, bad, ugly, has prepared me for this moment. So I have nothing but gratitude, for how my life has been.
I have a very curious question here, like alcoholism or substance abuse, or it's very generic in the current generation, right? I was growing up, I had excess of alcohol when I was in college. Now kids who are even like my younger, folks, they get access to a lot of other substance abuse like products, right? Which is giving them a sense of escapism. Would you want to shed some light on this, that why it messes a person, and what's the quick fix for this, or as like a fix for a person who's on this substance journey? Is that they really want, or they should be fixing that?
Tell you what, most of us get into substance abuse because of the kind of people that we surround ourselves with, right? It's very common. You would the older I grow, I realize that everything that my parents used to tell me, and I did get it at that time, is just like universe has been giving you messages all throughout, but you never listen to them. Now I get it. So my parents used to tell me, choose your friends wisely. And I'm sure everyone's parents say the same here, right? But that is exactly what makes you choose the most outstanding, awkward people in your life. So it's important to see who is it that your frequency matches with, right? And what value are they bringing in your life? What value are you bringing in their life? Are you helping each other elevate? Right? So you would be able to make more informed choices. At a younger age, it's a very impressionable age. So what happens is most of us have that strong sense of validation, need for validation and acceptance. So we feel that maybe smoking, drinking will make us feel like a part of the tribe. So a lot of us start with that. And because we haven't figured out any other coping mechanism to deal with difficult situations in our life, this becomes a very simple coping mechanism. And we don't realize when we become addicted to it. Okay. So a lot of parents of my age that I speak to, they say that we don't want to burden our children with faith. We want them to make their own choices. So they consciously do not introduce God to their children. The issue with that is that when those kids face a difficult point in their life, they don't know what to lean on. Sometimes we don't have any people around us. And who do we lean on? And that is where alcohol or drugs seem an easy way out. But if you have faith, you will be able to lean on faith and you will get stronger and come out of it.
Yeah, so I couldn't connect with that much. Like I would just want to say that since I was growing up, my friends, my colleagues, they all were drinking, they were having fun, and that was a definition of fun until I met you and Madhu, right? We don't do any smoking up or drinking or whatsoever together because we have different things to talk about. For the first time in my life, I experienced that with people. If you love, if they bring value and you are bringing value, you don't need alcohol to hang out with them. And I think since like 2024 was a reflection for me, I love Hanumanji. Now, whatever problem comes, I would never hold a glass of alcohol to deal with that problem. I just surrender. I say, Hanumanji, take care of me. And there's one thing, like I used to get very scared to sleep alone. Now I get power. I like everyone, like all the time someone's with me. What I'm scared of, like higher power is with me. So I have started feeling it. And I can actually, I thought that answer was actually for me. And thank you for sharing that. My another question is gonna be reflection of my journey, right? I got spiritually connected and I'm still having my journey. I'm a beginner. I'm not reached there, but I'm trying my best. I'm very curious what is in the world. But I got connected to this journey when I got extremely hurt, when I was in the lowest phase of my life and I had no one to go to. And then I realized I had Hanumanji, right? I had my God. So why do we need to experience hurt to connect with our higher self? Because God loves every child. We hear that since growing up, right? God will forgive you. But why have we have to experience this hurt?
So, very interesting question. So, there are three parallel tracks that happen in our life at all time. If you talk about many, many yugas ago, right? The Devtas used to stay in Swandro, right? Demons used to stay in Nak, and humans used to stay on Mrityulok. And if you've ever heard any of the mythological stories, you will notice that Devtas or, Asuras came to Mrityulok to worship, to meditate, and then get some sort of vardhan from God, right? Because so what are these three dimensions? Today they're all happening in our life in parallel, right? So heaven is nothing but the benefits of all your past karmas.
Yeah.
So the three tracks which are running in your life right now, one is all the goodness in your life. A good health, right? Good body, successful career, a good partner, anything you think of that is going well is an outcome of your good deeds in past life or this life, even your parents' karma, right? So that is what you are enjoying right now. The second track is everything that is not going well. Maybe let's say stress at work. Some people who are, not getting along with you, you're struggling in certain relationship, certain health issues, financial issues, and so on. So those are the outcomes of our bad karma, knowing or unknowingly, maybe we have done something in this life or past life, especially something our parents did. So, which is why as parents, we need to be very responsible because our children face whatever we do. Now, what happens is we get so consumed in either enjoying or repenting what's happening in our life that we ignore the most important third track, which is the action you are taking right now. What is the karma you're performing right now, which will bear its fruits tomorrow, right? So we become very unconscious about it. So as a result, what happens is God needs or universe needs to take your attention and say, hey, focus on this.
Yeah.
Tariha. So either they will give you a lot of happy experiences, but then the universe notices that you're just getting completely consumed, you're getting arrogant, right? So, or it will give you immense pain. Now, when you reach a breaking point and you feel, I'm not able to take it anymore, there can be one of the two things that can happen there. One is you will give up on your life, which is where unfortunately a lot of people end their life, right? Or get into substance abuse, which is also something like using your life. Or you raise your hands and say, God, I am not able to cope up. I surrender. This is why faith is important, right? Because it will make you make the second choice. So that is why hurt is very important because it will make you surrender. This is one of the reasons. The second reason is that, we always feel that the good experiences are the outcome of our good karmas, and negative experiences are a test. Yeah. Which is not accurate. Everything that is going good in your life is actually a test to see how do you respond to it. If I give you loads of money and success, will you lose it? Or will you remain humble? It is a test. Whereas anything that is going bad in your life is preparing you and training you for the higher order mode that you're supposed to play. So the bad things that are happening in your life are actually the lessons. The sooner you learn it, how do I expedite it now, right? The sooner I learn the lesson that universe is trying to teach me, I will break the loop. Otherwise, you will see things will keep happening repeatedly in your life and you wonder, why is this happening to me again and again? Why do I always end up with people who, deceive me? Why do I always end up making wrong choices? Take a step back and reflect why. What is it that I need to change about my approach? And if you're not able to figure out, surrender to God and God will show you.
This is so beautiful. I actually, again, connected with what you said all the time. Why you have to do that, Ritu? Why you have to connect it back to the track? Of course, when I was saying I was in the lowest, the last two steps that you said, the first one was to end your life, which I thought was the easiest thing to do that time. But yeah, I got connected faster. You all brought me in track and I'm feeling better and I love my life, right? I mean, I'm really, really hurt that people have to go through such experiences. I have another question. So we have seen that a lot of people who are really, really successful and happy do a lot of wrong deeds to people around them. And the ones who are good, they get to struggle so much. What do you think of that? Is that fair?
Yes. So the thing is, human beings are very logically wired, right? So we want to find the why in everything, right? What is the science behind it? Why is this happening? Why is somebody who is typically so bad enjoying their life? So it is the same thing. They have performed certain karmas in their past life, which they're enjoying right now. You haven't seen their past karma, so you don't know the context. They don't know it either. Their higher self knows. And their higher self does caution them that, hey, you are exhausting all your good karma and not accumulating anything for future, right? I had given you this good life so that you are able to make something out of it. I've given you, for example, all this success and money so you can uplift others. But you're not doing that. So what we don't see is when such people fall, they fall really bad.
Yeah, I like you see a lot of Bollywood celebrities getting extreme success and coming down, and that has been like the graph of a lot of people, not just Bollywood people, like entrepreneurs sometimes, or like the ones who are very famous, like gurus who are like really famous, and then scandal happens and they are getting caught. Yeah, I can connect that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it happens to all of us. The only thing is we shouldn't, unfortunately, as humans, we find peace in other people's misery. Right? That is what makes us look for or even wish for somebody's failure. Whether you are a nice person or not, that's a different story. But if you are being successful, the most common low vibration behavior I will experience is jealousy. Now, if we, why is Ankita sitting here and enjoying all of this? Why not me? I wish something happens. So, unknowingly or knowingly, people will wish bad for you. And that is a very low vibration behavior, unfortunately, a very common one.
Okay, what is this low vibration? I've heard from you, like for our audience, if you explain what is low vibration and high vibrations.
So, everything and everyone around us operates out of a certain frequency, right? Now, which is why you would notice that sometimes you meet people, you immediately connect with them. And you feel like, hey, I really like this person here. Kitna mast banda hai. That person might not be that great, but you like that person because your frequency matches, right? You are at a similar point in your journey. So there is a natural rapport. On the other hand, somebody who's done nothing wrong to you feel like, I can't stand this person. You even feel hard to breathe around that person. Is because they are operating out of a much lower frequency. Right? So what happens is when we operate out of different frequencies, we vibrate at that frequency. Right? So this is about humans. Similarly, everything has certain prana, certain energy, which so high energy means high vibration. Low energy means low vibration. You will notice that there are a lot of places in India, forget about other countries, but within India, which you'll see a lot of hippies coming there.
Oh, okay.
Like certain parts of Goa, not the entire Goa. Or you have, this place,
Manali?
Manali, right? Lot of places in Uttarakhand and Himachal, a lot of, places down south, right? Pondicherry, for example. Now, why does it happen? It's not because they get drugs there. You can get drugs anywhere, right? It is because those places are very, very high vibration places, right? And so when you go there, and that is the significance of, let's say, a religious place. When people say, why do I need to go to a temple? Or why do I need to go to, a mosque or a church to pray? Because some of those places are very high vibration places. So many people have got together. There is collective consciousness. They have prayed in that place, right? So that place's energy is very uplifted. So naturally, when you go there, your mind, soul, and body will tune into that frequency, which means you will elevate your vibration. So similarly, when you go to, let's say, a pub or a place, which has relatively lower frequency, even if you're a high frequency person, there are chances that you will tune it to the low frequency of that place. So one has to be very careful about the things we consume, the places we are at, the people we surround ourselves with, and consciously choose high vibration people around us. And similarly, observe your own behavior. Love is the highest vibration behavior, right? You can love people unconditionally, they will surrender. They will give in one or the other day. I have seen so many stories, so many examples in my life. Jealousy, anger, right? Resentment. These are low vibration behaviors. The more you get consumed by these, nothing will happen to the other person. If I be jealous of you, nothing will happen to you. But I will deteriorate myself. It is like me consuming poison and hoping for you to die.
Yeah, I connected this a lot. So previously, so I left all the social media channels because it was pushing a lot of negative content after I started my spiritual journey. But before that, I used to like watch a lot of dark content, which can be true crime, which can be listening to the people who are like no case is solved, crime patrol, etc. Right? These somewhere felt like a dopamine hit back then in 2024, but now I suddenly eliminate them when I hear such news. when I hear negativity, I just eliminate. So that was the reason for me to end up leaving the social media as well, because I don't have control on the content which is shown to me, and somewhere the whole world is consuming it. It makes me sad. Yeah. एक चीज, okay, one more thing I need to ask you, which is like when we go to spiritual places, there are people who get extremely energetic, right? They lose their senses. They're like, so in our Punjabi say, Mata aa gayi, ya fir anything, like you'll understand what I'm saying. So I don't know what that is called, but is that true that other entity enters in their body and then they react like that, or it's their true self coming out?
So there are two things. Are possible. Their true self coming out or an entity. Now, what happens is a lot of us behave very differently when we go to a high vibration place. Let's say a religious place, right? Some of us don't. Now, that is all about how much you have surrendered. The more you surrender, the more open you are. When you literally start seeing yourself as a vessel for the divine energy to pass through, that is when you have 100% surrender to the Almighty, right? Now, when that happens and you go to this intense high vibration place, that whole energy is flowing through your body. Now, why that energy is flowing, it is like, let's say when we plug in, our charger to a switch code and the voltage is very high, what will happen? It will pass. It will burst, right? Or it will get electrocuted. So your body is physically not able to take that energy, right? That is why you see people will start shivering. They will start speaking in a different voice, right? Now, all that seems very scary to us as a third person. But what's happening is as the energy is passing from their body or trying to, they're trying to contain that energy in their body, it is vibrating, it is shivering, right? So it is nothing to be scared of, but it's just that their body is not strong enough to hold that energy that it is trying to absorb, which is why yoga is very important because it strengthens your body to contain all that energy. That's why Shiva is also called the Adi Yogi, which is the first yogi, because he is the epitome of energy. How does he contain all that? He opens his third eye once for fraction of second, the whole world gets destroyed, right? So imagine he's containing all that energy here. Obviously, he's the Almighty, but he's also a yogi.
Nice. Okay. So now we have closed the segment. I had a lot of spiritual questions. So, you know that a lot of people don't have the guidance of how to pray. Like for me, take my example. I have been sent to a satsang and I was dependent on that satsang. Like I'm getting information, but how someone can rely on themselves to start praying? Because I find it very difficult for especially our generation to understand. Like I'm 28 years old, Rito, and I hardly find people of my age talking about what we talk right now. And I have seen that gap. People are not able to pray. What is your guidance towards
One
it?
of the things is also there is a lot of social pressure that if you are seen as a religious person, it's not that cool, right? So that makes a lot of people stay in closets about their spirituality or their faith,
Yeah.
So we have to help them also come out and create a safe space for them. Now, all the answers that you're seeking are not then with a third person. They are within you,
Yeah.
right? Today, whatever I'm talking about, it is impossible for me to believe that these are my own thoughts, right? Just before this podcast, I prayed to God and I said, please channel the messages through me that you want people to hear, right? So right now, whatever I'm speaking, these are not my thoughts or my words. So it's very important to understand that all of us had this in us. We just don't listen. We don't pay attention. I give you a very simple thing, right? You are looking at me right now. I want you to focus on your left earlobe.
Like left ear?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, while you're still looking at me, your ear was always there. Right now, suddenly you felt its presence.
Yeah.
Right? So, all the answers, the divine love, the magic, it is all present around us. We just don't pay attention. Right? So, all we need to do is close our eyes and meditate and focus on our inner voice. The more we start paying attention, you will notice over a time it will become clearer and clearer. It will become crystal clear at one point, and you'll be very sure of what you did.
So nowadays I started getting a lot of intuitions about people. Previously, I used to get intuitions which was not true, like that was hurting me more. But now I'm able to get intuitions about other person. So, do you think praying helps to elevate your intuition sense, or so? Yeah.
So a lot of times people think, and this is a very big myth I would like to burst. Who do we pray for? Because our parents have taught us pray to God so that God is happy. Right? If I pour water on a Shiv lake, then Shiva gets water. That is not true. Shiva is the creator of everything that is there, including the water. He doesn't need water from us. Praying is for us. Because when we are praying, when we are sitting and taking God's name, we are connecting to the core source of power and energy to help heal us, right? Our body, mind, and soul, to align all of them and to align to our actual purpose, right? So it is just like, how your phone gets drained out, you need to charge it, right? Through the charger. So the role that the charger has for a moment bone is what bhakti has for us, right? So we are not doing any favor to God. So even if you don't pray, it is okay. But it is for us, right? So take a pause, charge yourself, and then bounce back.
Okay. So I want to talk about meditation because you mentioned about meditation. And as a beginner, when I started the meditation, it was very hard for me to like sit at one place. Thanks to social media giving us all the dopamine hit in like 30 seconds, I blame them. We don't have patience to meditate. And when we do, it's just a lot of thoughts to not deal with. These are scary thoughts. Would you like to give a guide to people to start their meditation journey and what all to expect from meditation?
So one of the things is patience. Second is boredom. These two, lack of patience and boredom, really, really block people from meditating. Every new person who has tried to meditate has come back and told me after 2 minutes of trying that, oh, Ritu, I'm not able to focus, right? It takes a little longer than that. Second thing is, a very traditional way of meditating is to sit in a clean, quiet place. The objective is that you block any distraction, right? When you're sitting in a quiet, peaceful place, there's no distraction, nobody shouting next to you, right? So the weather is fine. That's why people used to go to Himalayas, because Himalayas are a high vibration place. So they also help you quickly connect to your inner self, right? So finding a high vibration, quiet, peaceful place will definitely help expedite your focus. Having said that, think of anything that you enjoy doing. Some people like to gym. Some people like me like to drive, listening to music. Anything that you do, through that connect with God, it will be much easier. And you will notice that everything you are doing becomes meditative. So many times I have caught myself, when I drive, I take a pause at a traffic light and I'm listening to my bhajans like everyday routine. Sometimes I close my eyes for a fraction of seconds till people behind me start honking and saying, hey, it's green light, let's move. So what happens is you can actually meditate, like while speaking to you, I can feel meditated. But it's important to take that pause, cut yourself off from your surroundings and focus with it. You can use music, very calming music to help you focus, or sometimes draining yourself out physically. Like one of the people I know loves play cricket. So I said, right after playing a very tiring match of cricket, sit down in the field and meditate. And he was able to do that. And he said, I could focus, which was very surprising for him. So, like that, do what you really enjoy to do. Physically drain yourself out, sit and meditate, it will work. And a lot of people get disturbed because they're getting multiple thoughts, like he said. Let them flow. It's all a part of the process, right? Whatever is going through your life, trust me, before your birth, your soul had signed a contract and agreed that I will make Ankita go through 1, 2, 3, 4 experiences for her to learn these life lessons. So everything that's happening in your life is pre-orchestrated. So don't fight it. Have you seen like in a river, you have wooden log flowing, right? And this is related to the sense of anxiety that we get, right? So you would have seen the log flowing in the water. It is because it is meant to flow and reach somewhere. Sometimes the log turns and it locks itself. What happens then? The water starts beating up against the log to break it to pieces so it continues to flow. That is how humans are. There is no other choice than to move ahead on our spiritual journey. So when we block our elevation with lodging, with questioning, with fear and other things, what happens is universe will keep pushing us because we need to move ahead. That is the only path which is meant for us. So the more we fight it, right, when we are fighting it, so what happens is our higher self wants to move us in a certain direction. We are trying to move in another direction. That conflict of interest is making us feel anxiety with it. And we don't know why we are feeling it. We try to relate it to some or the other life experiences. But actually, it is happening at a very high spiritual level. The minute you surrender and you go with the flow, you will notice slowly your need for validation will go away, your anxiety will go away, your fear will go.
Because you have Hanumanji always with you. For me, Hanumanji.
God was always there with you.
Yeah. Really notice him now. Yeah. I felt it. Like I could see a lot of changes in my life. Of course, you know better. But okay, for the listeners, yeah, a lot of things happened. And meditation actually helped me to stay calm. Meditation, when I meditate, whenever there is any critical task, suddenly it comes in my mind and solution also comes in the mind. That this is how you can do things. They're like, oh, the like the previous Ankita, 2024 Ankita would have been like, oh, this is not happening. And she wouldn't even start. She'll start, but she'll block herself. So yeah, I agree. Meditation helps a lot. But now I'm going to move to a segment where a lot of the users would love to know. Since childhood, we were told stories about ghost. We were told that ghost is around you. You should be scared. We always like the most selling movies are the ghost movies. Conjuring is most selling one, right? So what is ghost like? Do they exist? And if they do, are they that scary? And because it freaks me out, like I couldn't sleep. I told you alone till I was like Hanuman is there. But yeah, a lot of people are scared of ghosts.
So, before I tell you a very interesting story around ghosts, let me tell you about fear. Fear is an emotion that we respond to the most. It is the easiest emotion. It'll be much harder for me to make you love me and then listen to me versus fear me and then obey me. So, unfortunately, our parents are the first set of people who put fear in us. Like when we were small, we were trying to open a cupboard. They said, hey, don't open that cupboard, there's a ghost inside. I have heard that as a kid, right? So it's an easy way. You will not open the cupboard. Their job is done. What they don't realize is that in that process, they are building fear in you, which is a very low vibration behavior and it will limit you in so many ways throughout your life, right? You will not just fear ghosts, you will fear a lot of things. Fear is nothing but worry about something that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. Right? So that will stop you in so many ways. Now, coming back to ghosts, right? We are made of 5 elements. Ghost is made of 1 element, right? So they are not to be feared. And how I know this is because my grandfather, Pandit Rajaram Sharma, he was a very successful businessman, had been blessed with a lot of money and success. So he gave it back to the society, right? So I'm getting goosebumps as I'm talking about it. So every time you get goosebumps, it means you have divine presence around you, right? What you're doing, they show their appreciation through goosebumps. So he went and he once donated money to an orphanage. I need to stop goosebumps. Sorry. See? Yes. Sanmanji. Yeah. So at that time, what had happened was he took my father along with him. My dad must have been like 5 or 6. So they said that, it's pretty late in the night, so why don't you stay here overnight? Now, in an orphanage, what happens is if some family has lost their young children, they'll donate all the stuff of that child to an orphanage. So my father was sleeping on one of such beds which belonged to a kid who had passed away. Middle of the night, somebody shakes him up and wakes him up. And there's this kid sitting next to you with big curly hair and says, hey, get up from this bed, this is mine. And then that kid disappeared. Now, what do you think will happen to a 5, 6-year-old kid? He got scared. So he woke up my grandfather and said, "This is what has happened." So my grandfather told him, "Don't be scared of him. Let's pray for him. He's made out of one element. He's still lost and wandering around here. Let's pray for him so we can send him to light, right? And help him pass on." So my grandfather sat down in a meditative state, made my dad sit in his lap. Imagine how small my dad must have been. And both of them prayed. So that is when my grandfather trained my dad on guided meditation. And that is how my dad used to train me when I was small. He would make me sit next to him and give me step by step guidance. So, as a result of that, and now today, just a few days ago, I shared this story with my 6-year-old, right? So, what happens is when you're able to look at people with love, including entities, right? Fear will go away. So sometimes I feel that, there could be entities around me, in my house, maybe attached to me. I pray for them. And I pray to God that, please give them peace. Because it can be very frustrating, right? Imagine you're an entity, you're not able to speak to anyone. What will you do? You will cause trouble in their life to get their attention. But when you pray for them, they also realize that you mean well. So most of the times they will move on and they would bless you when they're cooling off.
So, yeah, I accept the fact of entities, right? Sometimes entities are very negative as well, who get attached to you and they have a purpose, not sure who have given the purpose to them. And the second question following to that is when you say we pray for them to get to move ahead. So, do we have that much power to guide them to mukti?
Everyone has. That is what I'm saying. See, today, right now, you are speaking to me thinking I have some special power which you don't. It is not true. I have nothing, right? I am just like any other human being. Yeah. Right? It's just that I feel very blessed that God has made me aware of what I'm supposed to do. Right? That is the only difference. And I'm still trying to figure it out, I'll be honest. But all I have learned is that just like humans who are the scariest beings, even scarier than ghosts, we love them unconditionally, they give it. And some or the other point. They'll at least stop bothering you if they can't love you back, right? So entities will respond the same way. But at the same time, I would also like to caution that out of curiosity, we try to challenge a lot of powers that we don't understand. Like I've seen people who will deliberately try to go to haunted places, make reels, try to challenge entities. Don't provoke them. So whenever we operate out of vengeance, arrogance, fear, the outcome will be negative in any aspect of life, including your interaction with entities. When you operate out of humility, love, surrender, care, empathy, the outcome will always be good.
Okay, bye.
Okay, I'm speechless here right now. I have done many podcasts, Ritu, but this has moved me a lot, for sure. And I'm sure that people are also going to learn a lot from this podcast. But before we end, I want you to reflect, like take your time, but give a message to the people who are listening to this, right? To help them. As you said, you want to help people. So over to you. Take your time and give your final messaging to people.
My only message to people will be that universe speaks to all of us, right? And gives us beautiful messages. Human Janma is a beautiful way because we are different from all the other species, because we are the only beings who have the ability to reflect and make informed choices. Like if you leave a very nice person in a lion's den, what do you think lions will do? They will kick him and eat him. They are not going to reflect later that, "Arey, acha aadmi tha yaar, khana nahi chahiye tha." Right? Humans have that ability. So when knowingly we hurt that same kind person, it is a very bad karma. And it's not like you don't know that. Your intuition, your gut tells you, hey, what you're doing is not right. We lie to ourselves and manipulate ourselves more than anyone else. So be brutally, authentically honest to yourself. Start listening to yourself. Start listening to universe and surrender. Don't fight it. You will notice slowly things will get clearer. When we get hurt, and we surrender, that is when the healing starts. Healing happens in waves. It will keep happening throughout your journey. And that is through that healing, you become more aware, you ascend, and you transform into the higher self. So that is the only message I would like to give to everyone. And I wish Mahadev guides everyone on this spiritual journey.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Loved every minute of this podcast. I really wish I could do it for hours. But we really appreciate your presence, Ritu. I'm sure this podcast is going to help a lot of people. And for the users or the listeners, please follow Mama Agnya, because the messaging that she puts out there is actually like a daily motivation to be grounded and stay connected to your higher self. So yeah, looking forward to all the engagements on this podcast. If you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to me or Ritu. I'll be mentioning her social handles on the caption below. And thank you for being here, and we're very happy that we could make it. Take care. Have a good day.